store on the corner of Lincoln Way and Genoa, or at our Belden Village store across from Red Lobster. Like us on Facebook or online at carpettime.com. One word, one T, that's carpettime.com.
Step back in history, just 15 minutes from Canton and Bolivar when you visit Fort Lawrence, a revolutionary garrison built in 1778. The park, with historical markers, a museum highlighting the story with artifacts, is now open with tours, artillery demonstration, free speaker series, and a reenactment of a revolutionary battle. This Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4. Visit fortlawrence.org for details. Bring the family, because history is right in your own backyard.
Live from the WHBC Broadcast Center. Find out more about area businesses, agencies, and events.
It's what's going on right now.
This is Spotlight on Stark County with Pam Cook and Gary Rivers.
We're back on Spotlight on News Talk 1480 WHBC. I'm Gary Rivers, and yes, our Spotlight is now on Facebook Live, so you can see that little look of mine and our special guest in studio this morning, Tammy Schrum, who is the site director of historic Zoar Village and Fort Lawrence. Good morning. Hey, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Appreciate you stopping in here this morning, driving up by horse and buggy from Zoar Village. That was really nice of you.
You upgraded me. I only have the horse, not the buggy.
Oh, not the buggy.
Not the buggy.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. But Zoar and Fort Lawrence, well, Fort Lawrence is what we're going to talk about for the most part here this morning, right? You've got a number of events that go on out there. Before we get started, though, let's talk about Fort Lawrence, its history. It was formed when? Way back in 1778?
Yes, it was the only Revolutionary War fort ever built in what is today Ohio.
By the Americans?
By the Americans,
right.
yes.
I'm assuming there were British forts out here, were there not?
There was Fort Sandusky, but it was built before the Revolution, and the main goal of Fort Lawrence was to go and attack Fort Detroit, which was the closest British stronghold.
So we had a plan.
There was a plan, yes.
But they didn't use the plan, apparently.
They did not, because once they left Fort Pitt, which is Pittsburgh, and they made it all the way out here, they realized that they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
There was no cable. There was no nothing.
Nothing. And it would take at least, 3 or 4 days walking to get back to Fort Pitt.
Yeah.
So if you needed any kind of help, you're a couple weeks out, and then you're supposed to go all the way to Detroit, which is another at least month-long journey, and it just was too hard to supply. Plus, they started to build Fort Lawrence in November in Ohio, which is never a good idea.
Well, it's a typical government of bad planning is what it boils down to.
Yes. Even from the beginning, yes.
Even from the beginning. Let's start in November. Are you kidding me? That's really when they started it,
They did. They started to build the fort in November. It got cold very quickly, and then they couldn't supply everything.
Who'd have known that was happening?
I know. Maybe they just weren't familiar with the area. They're used to the East Coast, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. But so anyway, Fort Lawrence then was built in 1778 under the orders of the probably deposed thereafter Lachlan McIntosh, huh?
Yeah, he was put in charge, and he was actually up north. He's from Savannah, but he came up north because he had been in a duel with Button Gwinnett, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
He was in a duel
He
with
was
him?
in a duel, and he actually killed
one of the signers
he
of the...
He did, yeah. So then he was kind of on the run from Savannah when the backlash. So he came, George Washington moved him up north here, put him in charge.
So George hired him.
He did.
A convicted felon. Well, no, maybe not. It was a duel.
It was a duel, yeah. So the lines are murky even
I'm just
back
trying
then.
to find out how you learn things every day about this history. Isn't that interesting?
It is, yeah. So George posted him kind of out in the wilderness, out nowhere, to keep him kind of safe.
Keep him busy. But then he had that brilliant idea. Being from Savannah, Georgia, who'd have thought there was long, hard winters up here in the north, right?
Yes.
So here we have it. So they built it, and then they abandoned it.
They did. It was only in service about 9 months, and it was just too hard to supply. They had been through an ambush. They had been through a siege and starvation, and it was
who was sieging the fort?
The British. The British and a band of American Indians.
So in this 9 months, they build the fort in the dead of winter. It's miserable conditions, and in those 9 months, they build it, they have difficulties from the winter, and the British are laying siege to it.
Correct, yes. keeping any and all supplies from coming into the fort.
Yeah.
And inside, the soldiers actually got so hungry at one point that they were broiling and eating their own moccasins to survive.
Wow.
Yes, all in 9 months.
All in that 9-month period. And then finally, what happened? The siege broke because the British took off, or?
They kind of took off. They had a group of American Indians with them, and some other colonial troops had been attacking American Indian towns, so they all kind of went back to their own towns to protect their homeland, and then, just kind of disbanded, and then the soldiers took the opportunity and went back to Fort Pitt.
And then, now,
Yes.
the getting's good,
Yes, exactly.
so to speak. All right, so that's the early history of it. How in the world did we find Fort Lawrence? And because it was abandoned, and I would assume, for the most part, just taken apart.
Yeah, it was probably taken apart, and probably a lot of the early settlements around Bolivar and Zor probably used wood from Fort Lawrence because you got, nice logs laying around, might as well use them. So then it was kind of always in the back of everyone's mind that this fort had been there, and there was records of it. And there was actually a gentleman from Massillon that went down and did a surveying of the area, and he kind of located where Fort Lawrence used to be.
So he found where it was.
Yes.
And then what took place after that? I mean, so you find it, and then you get the Historical Society involved?
Yeah, he did a large campaign with the Massillon Sons of the American Revolution and the Massillon Daughters of the American Revolution, and they appealed to the state to make it a state memorial, and that did happen in 1917.
Okay. Oh, boy, so that was quite a while ago.
It was, yeah.
All right, so, and then here we are today. Fort Lawrence is not where it originally was, though, right?
Right, because even though he thought he found it, he was slightly off a little bit, and then they built the museum before they did archaeology, so the museum sits on the fort a little bit. The soldiers called it Fort Nonsense, and it still rings true today. So, but
it's been a comedy of errors from its very beginning. I guess
it has. Yeah, and he found a couple corners, and what he thought were like the southern corners were actually the northern.
Okay.
And so he kind of had it.
But it came close to. I mean, just the fact
close.
that he found it
Yes.
is pretty amazing to me, because I don't know what he used. Early maps, I suppose, or early
maps,
directions.
Yeah, early surveying, kind of location based on the descriptions of where they did build it, and that there were a little bit of earthen embankments left from where they had put the dirt up on the fort for the parapets. So he went off of that a little bit, but that land had been farmed. It was a potato farm for a long time.
For a long time, and probably had no idea that there was a fort on it at one point years ago.
Yeah.
And then decided to do it. So then move on up. When did the museum come about?
Right about 1972, and they wanted it built in time for the U.S. bicentennial.
Got it. That makes sense. So then it did, and now it's on the land that is kind of, sort of on Fort Lawrence.
Correct, yeah, and we do have the fort outline there, but not all of the fort, because the easternmost walls were taken out by the Ohio and Erie Canal. When they built the canal, they dug through the eastern walls of the fort.
Well, sure. You're going to use what you've got and what you can, and so therefore, Ohio has an amazing history, and I get that, and so sometimes you don't get it all, but at least you preserved it. Are there any artifacts from the fort that was dug up?
Yes, they did archaeology in the 1970s and in the 1980s. So there are quite a few artifacts in the museum that were from the fort. There's some in archival storage down in Columbus, and they did find the original fort cemetery. 21 men had lost their lives at the fort, so now those are there's one in a tomb of the unknown soldier, and then the other 20 are buried in a crypt in the museum wall.
Okay, so they found the original cemetery and then took care of all of that.
Correct, yeah.
All right, so 21 people lost their lives in that time
In the 9
frame.
months, yes.
In that 9-month time period. My goodness. All right, well, that's a kind of a short history of Fort Lawrence, where it was and how it got to where it is today. But now you celebrate and give us some of these historic facts by folks coming out there. And you have a big event coming up this weekend, right?
We do. We have Ohio's largest Revolutionary War reenactment that we hold. So we have a Revolutionary War encampment and reenactment. There's cannons. There's.
Well, why don't we hold all the details coming
okay.
up?
Right.
Why don't we say this? That's coming up this weekend. You're going to want to go. Trust me. When we come back, we'll have details on that reenactment coming up.
Get your Orange Barrel update from ODOT.
Easy way to catch up on what's going on.
Friday mornings
News Talk 1480
on Canton's Morning News.
Hi, this is Victor at Hayden's Auto Glass with a question for the parking lot guys. Why change windshields outside? Why in a parking lot at the zoo or at your kid's basketball game? One thing is for sure, it's not because it's better or safer. Then why? So why at Hayden's do we always use 2 technicians to install your windshield inside our state-of-the-art shop? It's obvious. It's better and safer, just like the factory. At Hayden's Auto Glass, the difference is clear.
Hayden's Auto Glass. The difference is clear.
There's still time to lose that weight you hid under bulky sweaters in the winter, so contact Denise at Physicians Weight Loss on Dressler Road and find out how you can get healthy and look great in summer dresses, shorts, and swimsuits. Free consultation is available now.
It's the Ford Summer Sales Event. And now, while selection is best, it's the best time to buy. With amazing offers across a full lineup of Ford vehicles, now is the time to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by a local Ford store or shop online at buyfordnow.com, because there is no better time than right now to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Summer Sales Event is here. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 72 months plus $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash on a great lineup of Ford SUVs. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Not available on Expedition. For all offers, take new retail delivery from authorized Ford dealer stock by 7/31/18. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for qualifications and details.
To Spotlight on News Talk 1480 WHBC. We're talking about Fort Lawrence, and there is a reenactment coming up. There's actually a history camp at first, right?
Yes.
So when don't we start with that? There's a history camp on the 13th, which is a Friday. Mm-hmm. Friday the 13th?
I know.
Really?
It'll be fine, though.
Okay. So on Friday the 13th, there's a history camp. Tell us about that.
Well, we do 2 days of history camp in Zoar.
Mm-hmm.
They learn about Zoar, and then they learn about the canal. And then Friday is Fort Lawrence History Camp Day. And the camps will already be set up so the kids can, see the camp, what it's like. We'll have the tents, some fires going. We'll show the kids safely how they would start a fire back then. Do some musket drills with the kids, do colonial dress up,
right.
Learn about the archaeology of Fort Lawrence. So a lot of fun activities. And then they'll have their afternoon snack, which they will get moccasin to eat.
What?
It's actually beef jerky, but don't tell the kids.
Boy, you're really going all out on this.
We
it's
get into
just
it.
Moccasin.
Yeah.
I didn't wear it. It's just freshly made.
It's fresh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that tells you what they went through back in the day.
It does, yes.
All right, so you have a history camp on Friday. Learn some good things. Your musket drills, how to load the muskets as well.
Yeah, they're wooden muskets, but we go through the motions, and the kids pretend, and we march them around and let them do a charge at the end. And
Oh, nice. But then the big part, the revolution on the Tuscarawas reenactment and encampment. And what takes place then? You've got a number of reenactors, and you said it's the largest in Ohio?
It is the largest in Ohio, yes. So they kind of come all hands on deck just because it is the home of, the only Revolutionary War fort in Ohio. There's all sorts of demonstrations throughout the day. There's music. We have a surgeon this year. There's geographers, American Indian life. Of course, there's artillery and musket and rifle demonstrations. And then there's also a mock battle for the day.
Wow. All right. Well, tell me, how much does this cost to go to the reenactment? Because I think that, to me, would be fascinating and amazing for kids and adults to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's $10 for adults, which is anybody over 18. And then 12 and under are free.
Okay, so they get in and then they get to watch and enjoy anything. I'm assuming there's food and everything available?
Yeah, we'll have a couple food trucks, and we actually have Lockport Brewery will be down there as well. So you guys can have a beer with a soldier for the adults.
Early American ale, perhaps, from
Fort
Sam
Lawrence.
Adams.
Yeah, Fort Lawrence Ale.
Fort Lawrence Ale.
Yes. Yeah, they have that down at Lockport, so we'll have that. Yeah.
Nice. All right. And the $10 includes what now? Everything, all the reenactment and all the learning that you're going to get?
It does. It does all the demonstrations, traveling into all the camps. It includes museum tours. You can get a museum guided tour, and then access to all the food trucks and then the beer tent and everything.
Great. What time does it start, though? I mean, what do you recommend?
It starts at 10. So if you're really into history, I'd recommend getting there at 10 and kind of hanging out all day and talking to everyone that you can and hearing all the demonstrations and all the music. If you really want to see all the, the big bangs and everything going on, I'd recommend the afternoon, maybe, coming to get a bite to eat. And then the demonstrations really start at 1 with the artillery and infantry.
So maybe 12 noon, if that's what you want. Get the demonstrations, you get some food and enjoy that. And whatnot. And you're serving moccasin that day as well, or?
Yes, people really want it, but no, it's nice food trucks that like some barbecue and kettle corn, normal festival food.
Just making sure. 921 at News Talk 1480 WHBC. Back in just a moment. We're talking about Fort Lawrence this morning on News Talk 1480 with Tammy Schrum, the site director for Historic Zoar Village and Fort Lawrence.
Good day, moviegoers of Stark County. Elwyn here. Canton's Palace Theater has been downtown since 1926. This beautiful facility has hosted a wide variety of acts and entertainment too numerous to mention. Saturday at 1 p.m., Richard Haldy and John Warren will provide all the details on Time Machine, the history show. Good day.
Hey, let's talk turkey. Because it's the sale of the summer at Peebles. We're talking Black Friday in July. This Thursday through Saturday, get over 70 all-day doorbusters, including dozens under $10. Plus, Nike shoes as low as $29.99 and buy one, get two free on all clearance. Want more? How about 20% off beauty and fragrances with your coupon? And get here early. Our first 30 customers on Saturday have a chance to win a $100 gift card. Black Friday in July starts Thursday at Peebles. Peebles is part of our Stage family. Offer exclusions apply.
Is credit card debt burying you alive? What if one phone call could help save you thousands of dollars? Years of stress and anxiety. What if one phone call, right now, could help save your family from bankruptcy? We're Credit Associates, and one phone call to us could help save you thousands. Because if you have more than $5,000 in credit card debt, you may not have to pay it all off. For free information on how we could settle your debt for a lot less than you owe, call 1-800-600-9244. There's no obligation, just free information. Sometimes all it takes to change your life is one phone call. Make your call now and we'll show you, for free, just how much money you could save. 1-800-600-9244. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk to call. This is too important to wait. Call 1-800-600-9244.
Walgreens has good news for anyone managing diabetes. We've got your back. That's right. Walgreens pharmacists are here to consult with you in person and answer any questions you may have about new and existing medications. You can even get free advice from our trusted experts day and night at Walgreens.com or the mobile app. Walgreens has all major brands of diabetes testing supplies like OneTouch and Walgreens TrueMetrics. That's not just good news, it's great news. Stop by and talk to your Walgreens pharmacist today. Walgreens, trusted since 1901.
Welcome back to Spotlight. Site director from Historic Zoar Village and Fort Lawrence, Tammy Schrum, joins us this morning. I'm Gary Rivers. Thank you so much. We're talking about the reenactors, and I had to ask about the beer. Lockport Beer offers some brew there if you'd like to be a part of that. I was just saying, man, we need to get some. I had read that there was a George Washington recipe. Didn't realize he brewed beer and whiskey on Mount Vernon.
He's a true Renaissance man.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So maybe down the road we can get some official George Washington brew at the Fort Lawrence event.
And you have George Washington deliver it himself.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Amazing.
Felt bad about the people having to be given a fort built in the middle of winter.
He sent them out there, so at least he could do is bring them beer.
Well, but history stories that I've heard that George Washington, after he got into being a general after the war, wouldn't travel out west because there was a price on his scalp, if you will.
I think after Fort Lawrence there would be. Yes. Yeah.
So he didn't want to go out there. The natives were not a little happy with him. But nonetheless, fascinating history. So we've got this event at Fort Lawrence, but there's some other things coming up as well, are there not?
Yeah. Over on the Fort Lawrence end of everything, we have in August, there is on August 11th, we are doing a Sons of the American Revolution ceremony in which they are recreating the ceremony that they do at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington, Virginia. Since we have a Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, different chapters are coming and they're going to do the 21 paces, and different chapters are going to come out and stand vigil at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
All right. Now, you said there were 21 soldiers who died. So did they have the names of most of them?
They have the names of most of them, but being back in the Revolutionary War, they didn't wear any dog tags or anything.
So you don't know who's whom and what locale. But they're all entombed in one location,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. There's 20 in the museum, and then there's one out at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Okay, so there was, in other words, we knew 21. I got it.
Yeah. You had the roster that said 21 died, but as far as putting a name with the bodies and that.
Wow, don't know. But nonetheless, interesting, fascinating things going on. Also, when we come back, because I know we're going to take a break here in just a few moments, but we're talking about Fort Lawrence and what's taking place this weekend. If you need to get there, it starts at 10 o'clock and goes until what time?
We go until about 4:30.
Okay, so make sure you can get there for that. But then when we come back, can we talk a little bit about Zoar Village and what some things might be happening out there as well this summer? Because this is your season, right? It starts in the spring and then you go all the way up until probably late fall.
Absolutely, yeah. We start in April at Zoar and we go through the end of October, but this is kind of prime peak season.
All right, well, stand by. When we come back, we've got news at the bottom of the hour. We'll give a little brief history lesson on Zoar. There won't be a test, even though I really want to give you one. But we'll learn some of that, some of the activities and events going on out there, and then again, invite you to stop on out to Fort Lawrence this weekend. Back in just a few with Site Director for Historic Zoar Village in Fort Lawrence, Tammy Schrum in the studios.
On your radio.
News Talk 1480.
On your computer.
WHBC.com.
And on demand.
To see what's going on in my backyard.
330-450-1480. Canton's Morning News with Pam Cook.
Hi, this is Tom Hamilton. Swing and a miss ball game. It's been a rockin' sock of affair. The Tribe on WHBC.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-600-4850. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-600-4850. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-600-4850. 1-800-600-4850.
Bank small and get big returns at Stark Federal Credit Union. Get a 7-month savings certificate at 1.21% APY. Stop by any office or check out starkcu.org for details. This is a limited time offer. Think big and bank small at Stark Federal Credit Union.
Verndale's Water Center is offering 0% financing on water treatment systems. Call or stop in today.
Tap into Verndale's Water Center. Tap into.
Step back in history, just 15 minutes from Canton and Bolivar when you visit Fort Lawrence, a revolutionary garrison built in 1778. The park, with historical markers, a museum highlighting the story with artifacts, is now open with tours, artillery demonstration, free speaker series, and a reenactment of a revolutionary battle. This Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4. Visit fortlawrence.org for details. Bring the family, because history is right in your own backyard.
This is WHBC AM Canton. News Talk 1480 WHBC.
I'm Jim Michaels with 1480 WHBC News. Now 71 degrees. Rangers with Stark Parks have a possible suspect in mind in connection with a physical assault of a young woman on the Middle Branch bike trail last month. They're looking for any additional information. The victim in her mid-20s was riding her bike alone on the section just south of Martindale Park when a man on foot began making conversation with her.
He asked her for the time, and when she went to look at her phone, he grabbed her and threw her to the ground and assaulted her. So she was able to yell, and he grabbed her phone and took off.
Stark Park's Chief Ranger Dan George. There was a similar incident recently on the Berlin Lake Trail in Deerfield Township, but they are not believed to be related. A rash of shootings in Akron over the weekend claims a third victim, 17-year-old Demonta Martin, died at City Hospital a few days after he was shot in the head on Friday night along Dahlgren Drive in Akron. A former Jackson Township financial advisor's last-minute decision to no longer represent himself at trial means another month's delay to the start of that trial. 67-year-old Kim Hannon told the judge yesterday during his fraud trial he wanted an attorney. This was after a jury was seated. So a mistrial was declared. Hannon faces 55 counts, accused of bilking 9 clients, including some from Massillon and Canal Fulton, of $1.7 million. And one firefighter confirmed dead, 5 others injured when a call to respond to a possible gas leak turned into a fire and explosion in the town of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. The explosion leveled at least one building and caused officials to evacuate other homes and businesses within a half-mile radius.
We had 7 civilians who were transported to the hospital with minor injuries. They were all released.
Lieutenant Kevin Konopacki with the Sun Prairie Police Department, a contractor, apparently hit a gas line there in Wisconsin. More 1480 WHBC News at 10.
Hall of Fame City weather.
Here's your AccuWeather.com forecast for today. A good deal of sunshine. It will be comfortable with lower humidity than yesterday. The high reaching 83 this afternoon. A clear sky tonight, comfortably cool. The low 58. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow. The high 83. Clouds and sunshine on Friday. A warmer afternoon. The high up to 89. Then partly sunny, hot, and sticky on Saturday. There could be a thunderstorm around. The high near 90. I'm Dan Pedinowski for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Coming up today at 3 on the Kenny and JT Show, we'll recap the Battle of Ohio Game 2 in Cleveland between the Reds and the Tribe. Hey, man, what's going on with the Cavs? Yesterday we thought we heard that they were going to trade Kevin Love. Now I'm hearing it's Kyle Korver. You can only hope so. And will the Browns pick somebody in today's supplemental draft? That plus your phone calls today at 3 on the Kenny and JT Show on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Do you have a job? Do you have $99? Do you want a new car? Then get to Wacom Kia today. With a job and $99, get up to $30,000 in credit. 30 grand. We work with over 30 banks and local credit unions. Our goal is 100% credit approval. Call 1-800-NEW-RIDE or go to WacomKia.com and get pre-approved with no hard credit pull and no social security number required. That's right, no hard credit pull, no social security number. Do you have a job? Do you have $99? Do you want a new car? Then get to Wacom Kia. With a job and $99, get up to $30,000 in credit. 30 grand. Call 1-800-NEW-RIDE or get pre-approved online at WacomKia.com. That's WacomKia.com to qualified buyers.
Is credit card debt burying you alive? What if one phone call could help save you thousands of dollars? Years of stress and anxiety. What if one phone call, right now, could help save your family from bankruptcy? We're Credit Associates, and one phone call to us could help save you thousands. Because if you have more than $5,000 in credit card debt, you may not have to pay it all off. For free information on how we could settle your debt for a lot less than you owe, call 1-800-600-9244. There's no obligation, just free information. Sometimes all it takes to change your life is one phone call. Make your call now and we'll show you for free just how much money you could save. 1-800-600-9244. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk to call. This is too important to wait. Call 1-800-600-9244.
Step back in history, just 15 minutes from Canton and Bolivar when you visit Fort Lawrence, a revolutionary garrison built in 1778. The park, with historical markers, a museum highlighting the story with artifacts, is now open with tours, artillery demonstration, free speaker series, and a reenactment of a revolutionary battle. This Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4. Visit fortlawrence.org for details. Bring the family, because history is right in your own backyard.
Live from the WHBC Broadcast Center. Find out more about area businesses, agencies, and events.
It's what's going on right now.
This is Spotlight on Stark County with Pam Cook and Gary Rivers.
Welcome back to the second half of Spotlight on News Talk 1480 WHBC. We're talking about Fort Lawrence and Zoar Village. Site director for Historic Zoar Village and Fort Lawrence is Tammy Schrum, and that is who is sitting to my right. If you're watching on Facebook, you're seeing her smiling face and my, disgruntled, disheveled self this morning. But we were talking about Fort Lawrence and the reenactment, and let's talk about that real quickly before we get into Zoar Village. Your reenactment is this weekend. You're excited about it.
Oh, absolutely. I love reenactments. So I always love, all the cannon fire, the musket fire, the mock battles. I love seeing all of that, and we'll have all of that this weekend.
And aren't those outfits made out of wool? Are they hot? I mean, when it's 90 degrees out, what are those guys feeling?
Probably sweaty. A lot of sweat. Yeah, they are made out of wool, and they have multiple layers on, usually almost all wool except for the breeches.
Yeah.
And you'd think the breeches would be like capri, so that might be cooler, but then they have the long wool socks that they wear underneath. So usually they wait and they get excited when they actually sweat through, which sounds disgusting, but then that means that they're nice and cool because they're completely
drenched
with sweat.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
They used to have a saying that a lot of times, since the uniforms were wool in multiple wars, that you could smell the army before you saw them. Yeah.
And that's the truth.
That's the truth with reenactors,
So therefore,
too.
from a safety standpoint for the visitors coming down, don't stand downwind? Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Bring your nose plugs. No.
Okay. Well, that'll sell everyone to come down to the reenactment this weekend. All right. Well, the reenactment is this Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday, yes.
Saturday and Sunday. So starting at 10 a.m., come on down there. But there's plenty of food. There's a lot of activities and a lot of history to learn.
Yes, yeah. We have all the normal military demonstrations and some kids' games, too.
Nice.
So.
All right. So you would expect a person to stay how long on average?
I think depends on what you want to see. We encourage people to stay all day. But, if you want to see the battle and the artillery and everything, give yourself at least, a couple, 2-3 hours.
Okay.
There's plenty to do.
So there will be a battle. So there's going to be red coats and blue coats.
Yes.
So we'll actually have that, even though at Fort Lawrence itself, it never really did have it had a siege, so there was a battle,
Yeah,
right?
there was a siege, and then a number of the soldiers were ambushed, so kind of a one-sided battle. But
ouch.
Yeah.
All right. But nonetheless, if you want to learn a little bit more about that history, go to Fort Lawrence. Now, you're open year-round, are you not?
We're open. The fort is open, and Zoar are open from April through October for tours, and then the Zoar store is open almost all year except for January, February.
Oh, okay. So for the most part you are. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the history, I suppose you can, A, go to the website, but B, their recommendation would be going to Fort Lawrence.
Yes, and even if the fort's not open, there's a number of storyboard signs around the grounds that people can read the storyboards and still get, a good bit of the history.
All right. Well, speaking of history, many of us have known about Zoar Village for a long time. How did you get to be where you're at today? I mean, it's a fascinating position you're in.
It is. I actually started at Fort Lawrence as one of my first museum jobs. I had started as an intern at another museum, and then I went for the job at Fort Lawrence when it came up, and I was there about 5.5 years. And then I went to another museum to be director, and I was there about 1.5 years when the job at Zoar came up. And it was kind of a dream job because I was running one historic home, and then at Zoar I get to run 14 historic homes. And then at the time that I had been away from Fort Lawrence, Zoar had actually taken over operations. So when I got the job at Zoar, it was kind of all back in full circle.
It all just kind of worked out for all of that stuff. So, let's talk about historic Zoar Village. Maybe a brief history on it. I know many of us have heard it, but there are probably those who go, what is it and why is it important for us?
Well, Zoar last year became a National Historic Landmark District, which is a very rare distinction. There's a lot of historic landmarks, and it's just one building, but this is the entire district, almost the entire village of Zoar. It was founded in 1817 by some German separatists who were undergoing religious persecution in Germany. So they came to America for religious freedom. 1817 to 1819, they kind of tried to make it work, but it wasn't quite what they thought it was.
It was a communal existence,
yeah,
right?
1819, they decided to all get together to work as a communal society, since kind of working on their own wasn't quite going for them. So 1819, they became a communal settlement, and they did that until 1898.
All right, so for how many years did that work as a communal organization where basically everybody shared everything, right?
They did, yeah. No money ever exchanged hands. You worked for the community, and in exchange, you got, food and a place to stay and clothing and everything provided for you.
So everyone had their own job and their own means, and then they shared in the profits, if you will, of the food and got to eat.
Yes, so they did that for about 79 years, which is one of the longest lasting in the United States.
Yeah, I just looked at JD, our producer, and gone, I don't know if I would have been given enough food being just the DJ of the community. What would they have paid me the same as, say, the blacksmith? Town crier. I'd be the town crier.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness. But everybody had a position, right?
They did, yes. And if you didn't have a position, then you went to the assembly house and you were assigned one for the day, whether that was field work or helping someone else.
Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'd be doing, field work. And then at night, you can do the town crier thing. Right. All right, but then that lasted for, 80 years or so?
Yeah, 79 as a communal settlement. And then 1898, they all voted, and they decided to disband at that point.
Well, at a certain point, you have families growing up, and it gets larger and larger and larger, and then it becomes almost a county. Then it just became unmanageable at that point.
Somewhat. A lot of the industry, they were starting to bring in outside instead of doing it themselves. They also were a little tight-knit community, and then after they built their hotel, and outsiders started to come in, and kind of this outside influence, and people could see what personal wealth was really about.
Right.
And then after their leader, Joseph Beimler, died, and it did take quite a while after he died, but they were just rereading his sermons. So kind of the religious aspect, it's not anyone preaching anything new to you. You're hearing the same sermon that you've heard for,
Sermon 27B
from 40 years ago. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. And then it changed. Now, how did Zoar get to stay Zoar as this historic village? I mean, that's fascinating to most of us, I think, because villages undergo so many transformations over the years, yet this basically stayed intact.
Well, when they dissolved in 1898, a lot of the people did stay in Zoar because they were given the land and the property. And then 1930 is when the levee system was going to first go in. And even back then, they had a choice of they were either going to just flood Zoar or, pretty much flood it. And then they started to build museums in the 1930s in Zoar to show how important it was of a site. So they built the levee instead of flooding Zoar. And then after that, it just kind of museum building after museum building, and it started to grow as a historic site. And then 2011, the issue of the levee came up again, and there was another grassroots campaign to save Zoar once again.
Save Zoar one more time. So here we have it. If someone has never gone to Zoar, what will they find today?
We have, like I said, we have about 14 museum buildings. A lot of them are still intact from, we have a cabin from 1817. Wow. There's a lot of buildings from the 1830s. A lot of it is the museum structure. There's a lot of private residences, and then there's some antique shops and little places like that.
Can anybody stay in the hotel?
Not the hotel.
No,
but there are bed and breakfasts, and there's one right across the street from the hotel. So.
All right, so there are some bed and breakfasts. How hard is it to get into that? I mean, do you have to set your reservation 6 months ahead?
Depends on when you're looking. If it's a festival time, those usually book about a year in advance. But I mean, it's always worth a call because there's always cancellations and.
Nice, and so you might get a chance to enjoy bed and breakfast in an historic building and what have you.
And Sandy makes wonderful blueberry muffins.
Oh,
at the cobbler shop.
Worth it right there. All right, 9:44 News Talk 1480 WHBC. We're going to take our final break. We'll come right back and maybe some more thoughts on Zor and the Fort Lawrence reenactment with site director Tammy Schrum on Spotlight.
Life changes, and when that occurs, St. Joseph Senior Living is the first call you should make. Independent living at the Alsatian, perfect solution for older adults who are still active but need someone close. Assisted living provides 24/7 care. The nursing center provides medical care for short-term or long-term patients, and a memory care center offers a safe environment for those dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's. To schedule a tour, call Beth at 330-875-5562 or go to stjosephseniorliving.org.
This is a test. News Talk 1480 WHBC Canton, Ohio is conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
This is a statewide test of the Ohio Emergency Alert System, originating from the State Emergency Operations Center in Columbus. This is only a test. The Ohio Emergency Alert System has been designed to provide the public with timely warnings and emergency information. Had this been an actual emergency, you would have received instructions and information related to that emergency over this and other stations in your area. This concludes this test of the Ohio Emergency Alert System.
Hi, I'm Pam Cook. Join us every Thursday morning at 7:10 as we feature nominees for Share the Good Stark County, the CASA program, Total Living Center, Second Chance for Animals, Compassion Delivered, Lighthouse Ministries, Suzanne Griffiths of Westbrook Park Nursery School, Faith in Action in Western Stark County.
Thank you very much, Pam. We listen to you every morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Join us every Thursday morning at 7:10. See the videos right now on WHBC.com.
Hi, Andy Logan of Logan Sports in North Canton. Going into our 43rd year of business, we at Logan Sports are all about tradition, and one of our great traditions is back. Our annual sidewalk sale will be our largest ever, July 12th through the 15th. Huge savings of 20 to 80% off on all things Nike, Under Armour, NFL jerseys, Cavs, Browns, Indians, and even Ohio State. That's right, 20 to 80% off on all of our Ohio State items. So come see Logan Sports on July 12th through the 15th for the largest savings of the year. And while you are there, do not forget to sign up for our OSU football ticket raffle.
Walgreens has good news for anyone managing diabetes. We've got your back. That's right. Walgreens pharmacists are here to consult with you in person and answer any questions you may have about new and existing medications. You can even get free advice from our trusted experts day and night at Walgreens.com or the mobile app. Walgreens has all major brands of diabetes testing supplies like OneTouch and Walgreens TrueMetrics. That's not just good news, it's great news. Stop by and talk to your Walgreens pharmacist today. Walgreens, trusted since 1901.
Is it time for new reading glasses? Go to Readers.com. Readers.com has more than 700 styles to choose from in powers ranging from 1.0 to 7.0. Readers.com also has readers hard to find in stores, like bifocals, sun readers, and computer readers. Choose from hundreds of fashionable styles and colors for under $20. Go to Readers.com now and type in the coupon code DEAL at checkout, and you'll save up to 40% through this special offer. Order now, and we'll quickly deliver your readers right to your door. Plus, all of our readers are absolutely worry-free because they're backed by our 100% happiness guarantee. So save up to 40%, get convenient, fast delivery, and a 100% happiness guarantee. Go online to Readers.com to find your perfect pair of reading glasses for under $20. But don't miss this special offer to save up to 40%. Go to Readers.com now and enter the coupon code DEAL. Again, that's Readers.com. Coupon code DEAL.
Well, we return for our final segment of Spotlight on News Talk 1480 WHBC. Guest in studio, Tammy Schramm, the site director for Historic Zoar Village and Fort Lawrence. Back to Zoar for a moment. You've got Harvest Festival coming up soon, don't you?
We do. July 28th and 29th is the Harvest Festival.
And what will take place there?
It is one of Ohio's fastest growing antique shows. We have over 60 antique dealers.
Wow.
We have an artisan's tent that has over 30 artisans that do kind of the old school crafts. And then we have different crafters around the village. All of the buildings will be open with demonstrations. There's a wagon ride that some characters from Zoar will be hopping on and off the wagon. And yeah, just a lot going on that day.
So you get a lot. Now, parking, is there a designated area for us, visitors coming to the area that we can easily get to where we need to go?
Yes, we have signs out. And if you're familiar with it, it's on 5th Street or 1st Street, but we do have a shuttle that goes around and drops off at different locations too. So,
all right, is it like a wagon and tractor shuttle, or?
We have the wagon ride, but it's just a normal, regular van. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Nice. All right, and that's coming up. By the way, all of this information, I'm assuming, is up on both of your websites, right?
Yeah, there's historiczoarvillage.com and fortlawrence.org, and then both do have a Facebook page as well.
Yeah, tell me about the Facebook page, because JD's our producer has been fascinated by it. It's hard to keep him occupied on what we're doing here because he's been checking out all the photos. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we kind of do it all in-house, and every event that we have, we make sure we take lots of pictures to kind of share and show everyone the fun that we do have, and it is a really fun job, and they are really fun sites, so it's kind of easy to take all those wonderful pictures.
Yeah, I see that. So I was just up at the Fort Lawrence one, and really nice. You do some nice posts, but you have your upcoming events right there on the front page.
Yes, which is very nice, and it has kind of the highlighted events, so you want to make sure you click on events to get the full list, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do know that we're going to be out of time here in just a few, so I want to go back to your upcoming big event coming up at Fort Lawrence here this weekend, and let's get some information on that. So the History Camp, is that open to everybody? That's also on the 11th, right, which is today. What's going on?
It starts today in Zoar. We have tomorrow in Zoar, and then Friday at Fort Lawrence. You do have to call ahead of time, but if you say you heard it on WHBC, I'll sneak in at the last minute.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and do that. So that was History Camp, and then
who is that for?
This is for children, but next week we actually have a history camp for adults.
Okay.
And there's still time to register for that. So if any adults want to try the hands-on stuff and kind of learn more about Zoar and Fort Lawrence, we do have some hands-on history camp for adults.
All right. And what takes place in a hands-on event?
You learn tinsmithing. We'll do the same musket drills with the adults like we did for the kids. We go out on the canal and learn about the history of the canal.
Boy, I keep forgetting the canal goes through there as well.
It does, and it connects the two sites. So if they want to hike, or we do have bikes for rent in Zoar now that you can rent a bike at Zoar.
When did that take place?
We got those in April, and you can rent them for the day and go from Zoar and go around and visit the village, and then go over to Fort Lawrence, or if you want to go down to the Dover Dam or Camp Tuscazor. So yeah.
And check all that out. So you're really making some inroads there. So the history camp, and then the revolution on the Tuscarawas. That is the big reenactment taking place this Saturday.
Yes, Saturday and Sunday. Yep.
All right. And how do you? All right. So really go through that day one more time. You show up at 10 a.m. What will you see at the reenactment?
Starting at 10 a.m., there's different demonstrations about music, what it was like to be a surgeon, American Indian life.
Wait, a surgeon?
Yeah,
and you're
we
going to
got
have a
some
surgeon this year, you
We
said.
are, yes, yeah.
So tell me what a surgeon would do, or maybe I don't want to know what a surgeon would do back then.
Might be too early in the morning for that. But no, he'll tell you all about it if you come down and learn from the surgeon. He'll have his tent set up. The geographers will be there.
And his tools.
Yeah.
Does it include hacksaws? Just
I'm
asking.
sure it does, but
Just asking for someone else.
And then all the battles and kind of all the weapons firing will be in the afternoon.
All right, and we have revolutionary cannons. Did Fort Lawrence ever have a cannon?
We don't think that they did have a cannon. It might have been. It was hard enough to get food out there, let alone a cannon. Yeah, yeah. There's kind of one legend that the British brought one all the way down just to kind of intimidate,
mess with us.
Yeah, but there's no actual proof of that.
Got it. All right, so we'll have that. You'll have a mock battle each day.
Correct. Yeah.
Just one battle, or maybe
there's
several?
there's a battle, and then the weapons demos, and then usually like a mock ambush. So.
Because we were ambushed
At Fort Lawrence, yeah.
Yeah, at Fort Lawrence, got it. And then there's plenty of food, correct? So tell me about that, because that's why I come down to all these events.
We have a couple of food trucks. There's some kettle corn, and then Lockport Brewery will be there.
Okay, and they're bringing a special Fort Lawrence brew that they've come up with.
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's a really nice amber brew.
All right, so that's this weekend. Upcoming events throughout the summer. Fort Lawrence has a number of things.
Yeah, we have the Adult History Camp. We have the Sons of American Revolution during their Tomb of the American Revolution ceremony. We have ghost tours in the fall. And then there's a number of events at Zor, too, including the Harvest Festival coming up.
All right. If you want more information, again, go to both websites, which are?
HistoricZorVillage.com and FortLawrence.org.
All right. And again, you can't miss it on the Facebook page. I think that's where folks might like to go to get a lot of the photos that are available, right?
Right, yeah.
All right. And it's Fort Lawrence, Facebook.com/Fort Lawrence, LAURENS. And I know you have one for Historic Zor Village as well.
Right, which is Historic Zor Village, yep.
All right. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
Yeah,
we
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
All right. Again, we love having Fort Lawrence on. It's Tammy Schrum, the site director for Historic Zor Village and Fort Lawrence. Stand by as, wait a minute, I'm leaving for the day, right? J. David Ress will be joining us here at 10 o'clock, filling in for moi on the Gary Rivers Show. Thanks for joining us, and thank you. Say bye to Facebook.